Okay, so now I want to kind of let's go over maybe what you're going to encounter and maybe help you out with how to do some of this trigonometry. So, if I look at any triangle, any right triangle, I don't care how it's drawn. Okay, this is your right angle there. Oftentimes it doesn't really matter how you label it, but most of the time, it's going to be A, B, and C. But once you get into, what's going on here with these circuits, you're going to have different letters. But just keep in mind that, your angles are either going to be capital letters or they might look something like this. You might have a triangle and you may have these Greek symbols in here, and they may put the capital letters on the sides. So you have to understand, sorry about that with my drawing, the differences. So when the capital letters are at the vertex or vertices of each angles, they're indicating the angles, and then they use small letters for the sides. If they give you the capital letters like in between the vertices, then that's indicating the side, and these Greek letters are indicating the angles. So this Greek letter here is called theta. Okay, that's just how it's pronounced is theta, and this one here is called phi. Okay, so it's just names, it's just terminology. So what you just have to understand is the difference. Now, one thing you all have to also remember is, the measure of the angle also coincides in a way with the length of the side opposite. So, in other words, if C is always the hypotenuse here, always the longest side, and we're generally concerned with these other two angles. So, if A is the smallest angle, then little a, which is opposite angle A, and that's what we mean by opposite, it kind of points to it, has to be the smallest side. And then B, if it's bigger than A, then this side is bigger than that side. So, when you talk about angles and opposite sides and things like that, be aware of that. So, side A is opposite angle A. Side B is opposite angle B. Okay, so that's what we talk about opposite. Now adjacent, well, adjacent is one of the two sides that form the angle. Well, since this is always the hypotenuse, then you're either looking at A or B. So if I want to talk about angle A, which I'm going to look at as far as my reference angle, side B, and I'm going to spell this out, is adjacent to angle A. So there's not always just one adjacent side. Okay, the adjacent side depends upon what angle you're looking at, and that's the whole thing to trigonometry, is you've got to look at your angle. And the other side, A, is adjacent to angle B. So you have to understand what we're talking about when we talk about opposite sides and adjacent sides, and that's very important as we get into our trigonometry. Okay, so know the difference there between how to determine what's opposite and what's adjacent and what it takes. Everything involves what angle you're talking about, which is how we do trigonometry. Okay, so let me just kind of go here and let's just say that I have this triangle A, B, C is my right angle, and I look at my trig equations. So you have sine, cosine, tangent. Sine of A equals your opposite over your hypotenuse. So in this case, since I'm referencing angle A, my opposite side is A, my hypotenuse is C. Cosine of angle A equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the cosine of A, all right, so I'm looking at angle A, is B over C. The tangent of angle A, so again, everything starts with the angle I'm referencing, is opposite over adjacent. Sorry about that. All right, let's look at the other angle. So sine of B is the opposite side to B and the hypotenuse. So it's B over C. So the sine relationship never changes. What changes is the angle you are referencing, and then therefore one of the sides or two of the sides, depending on which trig equation you're using. So always remember, start with the angle. The cosine of B, again, adjacent over hypotenuse. So if this is B, A is my adjacent side, C is always the hypotenuse, so it's A over C. And then the tangent of angle B is opposite over adjacent. So it's just the exact opposite of what it was for the other angle, which is the way these work out. Okay. You know, the most difficult part that I see with students, and the ones that have the most trouble with trigonometry, is they just don't follow the steps. And math is all about following the steps. So what you have to keep in mind is that before I use a trig equation, I always do my angle of reference first. Choose your angle of reference, then determine what side you know, what side you want to find, and then you have to solve from there. So there are examples. I mean, I get emails on occasion, either not knowing where they are or they can't open them, which is something I got to deal with right now. Some of these videos are old, but just remember, you can always right-click on the video, download it to your computer, and open it from there. That seems to work for me. But also don't forget they're there. So, you know, look at the videos, watch the videos. I know some are probably better than others, and I'm trying to upload my own, seeing that some of them are having trouble. But, you know, look at them. There's examples of problems to work. So make those resources useful to yourself. But again, one more time, when you're doing trigonometry, okay, choose your reference angle. Then either if you know two sides or you know one side and trying to find the other, go from there. But you have to know two out of the three items. You have to know an angle measure and one side, or you have to know two sides. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and hopefully this has helped you some. And if not, you know, just send me an email. But, you know, you got to practice and you got to work at these things to get better. So I hope you have a good day.